This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How we doing today on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central? This is the first show of 2025. Oh my gosh, I have now recorded a show for Bama Central in 3 different years, and we're so grateful for everybody joining us on the Bama Central YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, on my own social media machines at Joe Gaither 6. We're here to get you started with the new year, 2025, live in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. I am Joe Gaither. You are the listener, the viewer. We're here with Mason Woods. You follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_. You call Derek Daniel for all your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. They're upstairs right now waiting to take your call with home, life, auto insurance. Look, flip to a new year. Great time to review your finances. Derek can help you with that. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. 205-758-3391. And we're here to sift through the wreckage, Mason Woods. The wreckage of 2024. The ship was beautiful. It was pristine in August. It looked like the warship ready to take everyone down. And after the ReliaQuest Bowl, I think she's on the floor. I think she is in the ocean's depth. I think people have abandoned ship. Obviously, metaphorically speaking, everyone's okay. Everyone's made it to shore. But the season is up in flames, and the ReliaQuest Bowl, which should have been a triumph and should have been a celebration, turns into despair. 19-13, the Michigan Wolverines sun the Alabama Crimson Tide. Seriously, they sunned you, Alabama. They said, we don't care that we have all these opt-outs. We're bigger, better. We can take care of the football at least. You can't really throw the ball down the field too well, but that doesn't matter. Unbelievable. 1913, and the sour taste in our mouths, and the 9 months ahead. Mason Woods, Happy New Year. How we doing?
Yeah, not a great way to ring in the new year. Very, very unfortunate. I mean, unfortunate is not even the word for it. It was downright disgusting, the performance Alabama put on the field, at least from an offensive perspective. There's just nothing good you can take away from that game on the offensive end for Alabama. They were just so horrible from start to finish. You mentioned, obviously, you start with the ill preparation for what is very likely going to be a rain game heading into it. You know this. You know the weather. You looked at the radar.
What state are you playing in?
You are playing in Florida. That it's going to be wet and gross and sloppy. Why do we have guys out there starting the game not in their rain, appropriate spikes?
Sliding all over the place.
It's ridiculous. So
no one could keep their footing.
You start there. Obviously the horrific turnovers on the first, what was it, 3 turnovers in 4 plays?
Just snaps.
Horrible.
Sack fumble, get a nice little rush, interception, sack fumble.
And, you finally gather yourself a little bit heading into halftime. You get the touchdown to, who was it, Dupree, I think?
Robbie Oots,
that's who
Last
it was.
game for Robbie Oots. Good for you, getting in the end zone.
You get the touchdown to Robbie Oots. I think I even texted you, that was huge. That it felt like, okay, the rain has subsided. Alabama has locked in here, and they come out and just look equally as atrocious in the second half. And
they didn't turn over the football.
Sure. That was due to just no rain, I guess, Oh, man. There's nothing good you can take away from that offensive game for Alabama. You didn't even really get a chance to be impressed by any of the young guys, hardly, because they got so few opportunities because the offense was just not on the field because they kept turning it over, or it was 3 and out. So, yeah, there's just nothing to take away. Very, very happy with the defense. All that to say, the defense played great. You did mention, obviously, Michigan limited on offense. They didn't have to do a whole lot to win that game because Alabama couldn't do a whole lot offensively. So, but I thought the defense played well. You got to see James Smith have a good game. You got to see some other guys have a few good nice plays here and there. But yeah, just a gross performance.
4 of 13 on third down. only 68 rushing yards, your lowest rushing yard performance of the season. Yes, fewer rushing yards than you did out there in Oklahoma. Crows. 192 passing yards. That's your second lowest passing number of the season. Your lowest actually came, I think it was at LSU, but you ran all over the LSU Tigers, so it didn't matter. Terrible performance. Just absolutely awful. And look, we got several things to talk about. We're going to talk about the great defense, but let's get some things off our chest offensively first. And we'll start with the thing that has me the most riled up. And I hope that you're all as riled up as I am. And if you are, you can chime in on the comments at Joe Gaither 6. Leave your comment, question, query, and complaint, right? Because I have a lot of complaints. 62 offensive snaps, according to Stat Broadcast. I watched them all over again this morning at 4 a.m. to put together our cover. And I didn't really watch these plays past 2 or 3 seconds, right? Because I just wanted to see, is it run or pass? What's Jalen Milroe's feet doing? And you can go to the twitter.com at Joe Gaither 6, and you can see all the runs and all the passes in 2 neat little videos. Nice and pretty if you want to watch some ugly offense. But the important part is every single run, Jalen Milroe is lined up a certain way. And every single pass, Jalen Milroe is lined up a different certain way. So what he is doing is telling the Michigan Wolverines before the snap with his body language, with his positioning, specifically the positioning of his feet, if Alabama is running or passing. And it just an elementary mistake, an elementary error, and just a minor. Look, you don't need Connor Stallions on the sidelines stealing steins, telling the defense what you're running when your quarterback is doing it for them. Quarterback, and look, he's not telling you with his feet, I'm throwing it to Ryan Williams or Jeremy Bernard. You're not telling you who's getting the run. You still have to defend every gap. You're not telling you if it's good. So it's not that easy, and it's not that specific. But he is telling you whether it is designed for a handoff, or it is designed for me to tuck it and run, or it is designed for me to drop back and look for some options. And what that
that's half of the work that you have to do as a defense is diagnose run or pass right there. That just takes away half of your job, and he does it for you. He says, all right, defense, you don't have to worry about figuring this out because I'll let you know right here at the start. That is atrocious that they operated that way, that Kalen DeBoer and Nick Sheridan allowed the offense to operate that way, because we saw it all day against Michigan. Possibly happened in other games this season. I'm
going to do that because I'm not going to sit here and say that it happened all year without actually looking for it. It might have happened all year, but I am going to go look for it in recordings that I have on my computer because I'm flabbergasted. If this is the reason, Mason Woods, the offense fell apart in Norman, if this is the reason the offense really got kind of junked up towards the late end of the year, it makes my mind explode. It makes my jaw drop on the floor. It leaves me speechless in a situation I don't need to be speechless in. I have to give this words, and I cannot, because it is that bad of an error. It is, look, I'm a defensive lineman, and I got to decide in the 0.2 seconds the ball is snapped, whether I am rushing up the field to get the quarterback, or whether I'm 2-gapping, or whether I'm 1-gap in the B gap, or 1-gap in the A gap, or what am I doing here? It's all a matter of seconds. And all in that seconds, you are competing against another human being who's trying to take your block off. And that's just on the defensive line. Mm-hmm. Put yourself on the edge. I played outside linebacker very poorly as a high schooler, but I knew the techniques, right? Tight end blocks down, I step forward and set the edge. I take a step up and I squeeze down, right? You got a wrong arm, any sort of blocker, so that you can keep bouncing outside. The safety's coming behind me to bounce outside. Oh, he's tight end is pass setting. Oh, he's pass, or tackle is pass setting. Oh, I've got to drop back into the flat here and go take this little seam route away. I got to go take the running back out of the back foot away. Whatever I've got to do. And I've got to decide that, Mason Woods, in 1, 2, 3 now, 1, 2, 3 now, or I'm going to get my head blown off, or somebody's going to run behind me for a touchdown.
Yep.
But you take all that.
Just take all of it away and say, forget that.
Hey, Joe.
I'll let you know.
You're running pass coverage right now. This next play, it's a pass. So
when I played like middle school football, they tried to put me at linebacker and told me like, hey, you have one job right here. If this kid goes out for a pass, you have to cover it. Don't everything else, you just worry about the run. I could not grasp it. That is what kept me from playing linebacker. But I tell you what, if I had the quarterback there saying, hey, Mason, we're going to pass on this play, I probably would have done pretty good.
It's insanity. and now
this is Division I SEC football.
Make it exactly what you just said. You're taking it to my point. Not average Andy Joe Gaither on the top in high school. This is big boy 5-star. I can play football. I was recruited to play at Michigan. I was recruited to play at Oklahoma. It's mind blowing. And so you think about these tackles who struggled on the day. Look, the offensive line played like dog poo the whole day. 5 sacks. You gave up 5 sacks, but imagine the offensive line. Like the offensive line goes into each snap knowing that the 1 second advantage that I have is pretty much taken away. You're seeing the body language. A lot of people made a lot of noise on Twitter about Ryan Williams looking back, and I guess Jeremy Renard might have had a look as well. But being frustrated at the ball placement, I thought the body language was horrible from everyone on offense, from Jalen Milroe to everyone, to literally everyone. Yep. And I wonder if they all go into the game thinking, well, we have no chance because
our quarterback lets everybody know what's happening. I will say, in just the little bit here that we've been sitting here, I was able to pull up just a quick 3-play stretch from the Oklahoma game on the highlight package. Yeah, pass, run, pass. We've got offset feet, straight feet, offset feet.
No.
So this potentially dates back to at least that game, probably further if there's multiple examples of it now. How, as an offense, have you allowed this to happen for a potentially whole season, Kalen DeBoer? Nick Sheridan. How is it's
mind blowing.
I can't even begin to think of a rational answer. The only answer you can come up with is, we got to be loyal to our guy. He's been here for so long. We got to keep our guy. Throw that out the window when this is in play. He is costing you football games.
You think the Georgia analyst picked up on it at halftime?
Probably.
And you think that might got the. Because I'm thinking about the offense.
That's where things shifted.
Yes. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. And the Georgia analysts, they see this and look, all the coaches talk. All
SEC
of them.
Group chat.
Yeah. They're all calling. And, in the lower level GAs, they've got lower level GA friends, that sort of thing. Analysts have, it's everybody's talking.
Yeah.
So as soon as the Georgia analysts see it, it's out into the ether, and the Alabama offense goes into jump the rest of the year.
This is our topic for a show. We've got a deep dive, and we've got to figure out exactly where the turning point is. It's got to be the halftime of that game.
I vaguely know a Georgia coach. Do I need to send him a DM and ask him?
That's what we need to do.
Can I say, look, you can be anonymous. I just got to know if y'all found this out at halftime.
Man,
and I'll send it to him saying, hey, go Dogs and beat the Irish. Just give him a.
Yeah, extremely sad to have seen that game get postponed, by the way. I mean, obviously, horrific tragedy. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in New Orleans, everyone affected by that, anyone who it was even remotely close to that situation. It's awful.
Not good.
Man, very sad that game had to be postponed. Glad to watch tonight. I'd be interested to see if that change. I don't think it's really going to change anything for either team. I'm sure guys were probably juiced up, ready to play yesterday, so having to postpone that for 24 hours is like probably a little bit of a psychological kind of, strange thing to overcome, I'm sure. But I would imagine we still get a pretty good football game. But yeah, back to Alabama. I don't want to disparage Kalen DeBoer as a football coach, because I think he's a very good football coach. Before the show, I heard you mention it. I think this guy did take Washington to a national title game. Let's not forget that. Washington, the Huskies, the ones that got to the playoff however many years ago and got shut up by the big boys. Remember, that Washington. So he's a competent, he's a very good football coach. He knows what he's doing. But you just have to Then why, if you are, why did you let this happen? I don't know. Did he just know? He just knew, all right, you got to suck it up for 1 year with Jalen Milroe as your quarterback because it just is what it is. It's the way of the road. And he just knew it was going to be it. He just knew that's going to be what it was.
I mean, okay, politically, let's just think about it. You're a new
Sure.
guy. I'm a new guy. Look, I'm working in a new situation right now, and I'm trying to direct some people, and it's going okay, but there's some bumps, right? I definitely think that Kalen DeBoer said, I've got to make it work with the guys that chose to stay here, reward them. That's why, all right, I'm upset about it. I'm looking at Mason. We're upset about it, and it does blow my mind. But I'm almost in the camp that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because next year's offense is going to look completely different.
I do think it will.
I think what we saw this year was Kalen DeBoer come in and hold the program together as best he could and largely did a good job.
9 wins.
Largely did a real good job. With the personnel, 9 wins. You had some historic moments. But I think that on the surface, people thought, oh, this team's amazing. Blah, blah, blah. I think underneath, look, anytime there's management change, it's hard.
Sure.
At every level.
Sure.
At every level. It's not just with the players, with the internal staff, like everything. And I'm not trying to say that there was infighting or anything like that, but it's just things are different. New, different systems create, I got to change my habits. I got to adjust. So this is a really mind-blowing problem. But I think that it was hey, man, I think Kalen DeBoer probably looked at this in a grand scheme of things, this isn't going to be he's probably thinking, is it worth benching Milroe for putting Simpson in there or Mack or Lonergan at the time? Obviously, he's got
weren't even ready.
Right. For maybe mediocre quarterback play. We'll say that. Is it worth putting in for mediocre quarterback play? Or maybe even above average quarterback play? You're not going to get the superstar play, but you might be just above average. I think, and then also have to combat we got to sell it to the team. We got to get the whole team on board with it. I think that those factors made him think, it's not worth the hassle. It's not worth the hassle of benching Milroe. Yeah. I'm sure they try to coach it all year long.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure they tried to coach it all year long. And I'm sure in the booth, Sheridan's probably up there pulling his hair out when he sees it.
I think that's the only thing I can really think of here. Because being like outside of just kind of politics surrounding the quarterback position, there's no logical reason that you would have kept him on the field if you knew that was happening. So I get it from the perspective of you got to keep the team in it. Jalen Milroe was a key part in recruiting much of this team back to Alabama this year. A lot of the key players. So I'm sure the benching of him would not have gone over particularly well with many of them.
Well, then you consider what's going on with the offensive line all year long. You played 7 linemen all year long because Roberts was hurt. Let's just be honest. Was not healthy enough to be effective. Was out there, but did fine.
Yeah.
Proctor, we find out this past week, is dealing with a shoulder injury all year long and plays this past week hurt again. You got Vandermark coming in left and right. You got suboptimal effort from Elijah Pritchett most of the year. And you've got try-hard Taco Casa coming in at right tackle, who I think is going to be a good player. Yeah. I think will be a good player. But the point I'm trying to make is there was zero continuity on the offensive line all year long. So you can't get a traditional running game. And thus, your pass protection is what it is, and then we need a mobile quarterback to get after it in the run game, give you that extra hat in the running game, and get out of trouble in the pass game. So ultimately, it's so easy. Bench Milroe, take him out. And this issue, the feet setting issue, that's a class 5 error to me. Yeah. But
that's as bad as it gets.
But you can't. Taking him off, it's way too simple to say, just bench him and put Ty Simpson. Who knows what Ty Simpson will. What habits does Ty Simpson have that we haven't seen yet?
Sure.
I think it's just too easy to say. They should have just benched Milrow when they're struggling out in Oklahoma.
100%. There's so much more to it than just the on the field, product there with benching, specifically a quarterback, especially. Like, it is, you got to really weigh the entire team. You have to weigh all the people, all the, the yapping that you're going to hear because of that decision. And I think that, yeah, he just, Kalen DeBoer looked at the big picture and he said, I think you're going to have to take your jabs this season and we'll move on to next year.
Yeah.
Get a guy that I feel more comfortable with, whether it's Ty Simpson, whether it's Austin Mack, whether it's even Keelan Russell, who apparently is vying to take that starting job with everything he has.
He's talking that talk.
Golly. Whoever it may be, it will be a quarterback that Kalen DeBoer, I think, is more comfortable with having operate at the helm of the offense. And
who was calling the game? It was Jesse Palmer, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Man. Jesse made it look worse for Jalen Milrow because he kept diagramming up what the open receivers were and that he wasn't seeing it. And like, it was just so clear.
I think at one point they even mentioned on the broadcast, like Jalen Milrow, a guy who in high school was not asked to throw the ball a lot. It's just like, okay, why you got to keep hammering it?
It was just evident Tuesday, like
how limited they are.
Yes. My mans couldn't go through the 1, 2, 3. They go. That's what we loved about Lonergan so much was it was 1, 2 and balls out before you could say the word 3.
Yeah. Now it might have only been a 4-yard completion, but it's better than nothing.
Right.
And it's better than an interception or a sack or a strip sack.
So we need to talk about some actual good though. The offense was horrible. They only gave 12 running back carries the whole day.
I think it was bad.
Terrible. I'm looking at rushing. Jam had 10 and Richard Young 2 carries. 2 Richard Young carries. That's just unbelievable. And they're going to say, oh, well, we're fighting the game flow. I'd say, dude, it was 16-0 in the first quarter. You still had plenty of time to keep getting back in and running the football.
Jaron Hamilton, transfer portal.
Okay. Good luck. Best of luck to you, sir. He saw this and saw, hey, man, there was only 4 or 5 scholarship wide receivers and I didn't get a single target, I'm sure.
I'm out.
Uh-huh. But, I think that's so short-sighted. Now, maybe I'm Alabama homer here saying this, but I think that's so short-sighted because of everything we've talked about. When Austin Mack's in there reading the offense and, going 1 to 2 to 3, and when Ty Simpson or whoever, when Keelan Russell is, if he's just improvising, maybe it's going to look a lot different to play wide receiver next year.
You see Austin Mack pregame, just looked like a stud. Just tall, long. He's going to be so good.
That's why I see all the people, it's going to be Ty Simpson's job. They're sure of it.
They're
and I'm
sleeping.
People
are asleep.
You're so sure? Are you so sure?
And I like Ty. I do. I don't want to say anything bad
against But you know why he's not going to be the guy.
We do. Yes.
He leaves clean pockets. He freaks out in the. Now, can he throw a football?
Sure.
Yes. He can throw a football and he can read a little bit. Yeah, he can read a little bit. But and yes, he's got a little bit of athleticism to get and run. But you leave clean pockets. Just hang in there, buddy. Hang in there. Take a little slide to the left and fire it. He's bailing out the back a lot. You're bailing out the back. That's going to be a 12-yard sack, and that's 2nd and 22, and that's a pain.
As bad of a taste as this last game leaves in our mouth for this offseason, it's going to be a very fun offseason with this quarterback battle coming up.
Well, spring practice, I cannot wait. Goodness gracious.
Ooh.
He's not going to let us see any spring practice, I bet.
I wouldn't think so.
They gave us 4 or 5 this past year.
You might get some more. Who knows?
All right, so it was all bad on the offense, but it was really, really, I thought, almost an A+ from the defense.
Yeah. I don't have many bad things to say about the defense. I think there was just a couple of times where, you were looking at like a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and it was like, all right, you could use a stop here. And then, okay, Michigan runs for 9 yards. But overall, there's not really much negative to say. The defense played their butts off, kept you in a position to win when the offense was just abysmal. This is not the first time we've said that about this defense, so good. It was a good performance from them. Kane Womack that man can call a defense. He can draw it up.
Held Michigan at 5 of 16 on 3rd downs. Only allowed them 75 passing yards. Now, obviously, limited passing.
Sure.
Held him to 115 yards rushing. Had 2 sacks, and then ended up with a couple turnovers. Had one. Had one turnover. The Xavier Brown interception. But really, as you said, let me flip over to this drive chart. You get put in horrible positions. So where is this at? That's where I want to see. Drive starts right there. Drive starts on downs at the Alabama 27. Drive starts after a fumble at the Alabama 12. Drive starts. Is that right? Yeah. Drive starts after an interception. I guess this is
inside the 5. I remember. It was like
okay on the 0.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah, because it says Alabama 0, and I didn't remember them scoring, but I guess it's right there on the goal line. And then it says drive starts on the Alabama 3, a fumble. Yeah, because that fumble was very close.
Mm-hmm.
You ended up stopping them. Field goal, touchdown, field goal. Like,
he can't really do anything better than that.
The offense is out there pooping down his leg, and the defense is saying, hold. Like, we can keep 2 or 3 here. We'll be in the game. That was what was so frustrating, is because everybody on Twitter.com machine is out there saying how bad Alabama played. And no, the offense played bad. The defense played its freaking tail off. You got the interception late, but after these 4, these turnovers, you get basically the turnover on down. That's another turnover. Four turnovers in the first 4 drives, essentially. After those turnovers, the defense goes punt, half, punt, interception, field goal, punt, half, end of game.
Yeah. Like, pretty fantastic.
When you don't put the boys with their backs against the wall, you give them a chance to get off the field.
Yeah, and I think that is really what you just have to be very excited for heading into next year, because you're not losing. I mean, from the guys that played in this game, you're not really, as we know right now, losing any of them.
Start with 22.
Whew! I mean, that's just massive, getting him back. What he brought, I mean, he was great in this game, sensational.
How many almost sacks does LT Overton have?
Oh my God. It was, me and my buddy were watching it, talking about it, because, we've talked about fantasy football before and how, like, players will get almost plays, and it's really he was like the perfect example of he had probably 7 almost sacks that game. It felt like it was crazy.
We got to get him some better gloves next year.
Yeah, something, man. He was all over the place, but he announces, I guess right after the game that he's returning,
right after or morning after.
Yeah,
I think.
that he's going to return for another year, and that just does nothing but continue to shore up Alabama's defense for next season. Give you one more guy that can get after the quarterback, that maybe just has to get a little better at actually bringing the quarterback down.
So you get LT back, you're going to lose Jihad, and obviously that happened. You're probably going to get Justin Jefferson back for an extra year. Coach DeBoer was pretty coy, but basically insinuated that he was going to be coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know about Damani yet.
Been very quiet. I think it will continue to be that way.
The whisper that I have heard, Mason, is that instead of spending big money in the transfer portal, Alabama may be waving money at guys to not go pro.
I like it. I think it's a pretty good way to
philosophy.
Do things. I think it's a pretty great way to handle things. This is something that I think we've kind of talked about just together, how, like, as NIL continues to grow and grow and grow, it's just going to be, all right, well, you can actually offer these guys money that's somewhat competitive to what they would receive in the NFL, especially if they're a guy who is going to be like a day 2, day 3 pick, not in the top end of the first round. So, I think that's a fantastic way to operate. You get guys who who already know what you're doing.
LT was who I'm insinuating, and I think Damani's the other target that I think they're saying, hey, buddy, you could make this next year in the league, but here's your
just
come on back.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, because not only, it incentivizes those guys to go just try to make their draft stock.
Now, I want to be clear, that's not fact. It's just whispers that I've heard, but
I think that would be a great way to handle things if that is the route they are taking. It, tells guys, hey, come on back. We can hold you over while you put yourself in a position to make even more money. And also, it helps us out. We get a very experienced player who knows the system, who has been here, who has been excellent here, if it is those 2 players that we're talking about. Yeah, I think that's a win-win situation. If I was a player, sign me up.
How we like rewarding the players who had good seasons. How we like not shopping in the transfer portal over talent, saying, hey, man, you play here, develop here, you can get paid here.
That's a I think it's a very good message to send to the rest of the college football world, to recruits, to any other young players who are looking to maybe enter the transfer portal, who have entered the transfer portal. I think it's fantastic. That to me is, with the current just lawless land that we have, probably the best way that you can handle things is, you maybe have to take it on the chin a little bit for a year or so, but once you get those guys who do develop in your system, you can very publicly reward them.
I think that's the route that they're going, and it makes me think. People, Joe, when are they going to get a tackle? I've heard that a lot. Wow, why are they shopping for a tackle? Are we broke? Can we not get a tackle? And I have jokingly responded, "Oh, Alabama's got their tackle, Jackson Lloyd, California." But it's not. I don't think it's a joke. But you think about the 24s. Think about the Casey Poe. Casey Poe might play tackle. I think it'd be a little tough for him. He might play tackle. You've got young guys in the system. You got Wilkin Formby right here that just had a hard year.
Mm-hmm.
Hard year, right? But probably he's going to be better off for it. And I'll tell you this, probably really motivated to have a better year. That's my biggest issue with the transfer portal. That has always been my biggest issue with the transfer portal is I'm going to go recruit a guy. I'm going to recruit Mason Woods. He's a 3-star producer, but I'm going to develop him. He's up here. It's time to hire him, but I'm going to go shop for a 5-star producer and say, sorry, Mason, you're back on the bench. That is, I think, the worst way to run a program. What motivation does the freshman have if he knows that next year when he's a sophomore, a junior is just going to come in, and when he's a junior, a senior is going to come in and sit over him? I think it's really, I don't know. Maybe it is counterintuitive right now in 2025, but what will it do for you in 26, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3 as this Wild West thing never gets under control? Because everybody's talking about it being under control.
It's never.
It
will take a long time before
exactly. So you got to start put a plan in place to be competitive.
And this is, I think, similar to what maybe Kalen DeBoer had to look at with just his job and the team as a whole, the program. You just got to look at the big picture here and say, maybe we're going to take it on the chin a little bit in the transfer portal. Maybe we're going to miss out on some guys that definitely would be talented players, but we're not necessarily going to go after them. Maybe we're going to lose some guys, things like that. In the pursuit of setting yourself up for a better future.
Is this too folksy of me? Am I buying the Kool-Aid? Because look at Ohio State, they just wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. 2 weeks in a row have absolutely wrecked their playoff competition. And you look up and down their roster and you think money, 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 money. And nothing wrong with it. Good for you. Go Buckeyes. Congratulations. So I'm just trying to ask if I'm being too rosy-colored glasses, too cutesy, too old-timey. Well, guys, if we're just loyal to the young guys and let them develop, and then go recruit more young guys and let them develop.
I think you kind of have to see what happens to Ohio State next season to really kind of have a bet. Obviously the goal is to win a title. If they win the title this year, that's awesome. You have that, and you won that national title.
Sure.
But if you fall off a cliff next year in the world of college football, that's really, really bad. It's not like the NFL where you can have one Super Bowl and be happy about it for 20 years, really. If you're Ohio State, you're supposed to be competing up there every season. So if you don't get the exact same results, if say, you go win your title and then you have 40 kids hit the transfer portal immediately after, that's a bad spot. You're in a really bad spot. So I think you kind of have to, take a similar, just see how it plays out over the next few seasons. I have a feeling if this is the route Alabama's taken, where they're going to just reward the players that they develop in-house, that maybe will be a better long-term plan than let's bundle together as much money as we can every season and just target guys who used to be 5-stars.
Oh, sheesh. Hey, Graham Nicholson made a 51-yarder in that game. I think he made his 6th and 7th field goals, or 7th and 8th field goals of the season. You want to talk about NIL purchase. You want to talk about a transfer portal purchase last year that bust, in my opinion. I don't know what the number was that they ended up for him, but you only kicked 8 field goals. You could have had, what's the kid from Tulty, from the Chicago kid, already on the roster. and you could have just lived or died with those 8 kicks from Talty. Like, you didn't get anything special from the former Lou Groza Award winner. Not that, like, I guess I was going to say not that he's been bad. He wasn't really bad, but he wasn't really good either.
He wasn't really a weapon. It wasn't like, okay, we're across 50. We have 3 points. I never really felt that at any point this season.
No. You got a smart shop. You got to shop smart.
I think Bama has done that.
In the transfer portal.
I feel good about the additions they've made, as well as at least supposedly the deals they've made to keep players.
Kelby Collins. I want to see a defensive line next year of Tim Keenan, Kelby Collins, and LT Overton.
That feels pretty dangerous.
That'd be fun. Tim Keenan, LT Overton, and Keon Keeley. I guess you got 5 more days after Alabama finished their game. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is 2. Today's Thursday. So you got 3 more days to basically hold out to see about Alabama kids going in the transfer portal after the game. So we talked about Jaron Hamilton. Good for you. Good job. I mean, that's literally nothing to talk about. I don't really think you're going to get anybody else significantly in the portal. Let's go. Go ahead.
Does Jalen Milroe say, forget the NFL, I'm not hearing good things, and then try to come back, and then in turn does Kalen DeBoer say, we're okay, buddy. You can go to Miami.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, that's what I wanted to circle back to Jalen Milroe's future.
Mm-hmm. Look, I know the NFL, it's they have a wide body of work to look at with Jalen Milroe. Obviously, they're not going to just watch that one game and cast him out into the darkness. But
I'll tell you this, he's not going to be your Alabama quarterback next year.
Yes,
period.
He will not be the Alabama quarterback next year. So
he's going to be in the NFL camp, and he's going to be a practice squad body probably. I think he's probably going to end up being a 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick.
I think his best case scenario is some team is just like, hey, we like Taysom Hill.
Anthony Richardson. The Colts want to pick him up.
Anthony Richardson is on Tim Tebow watch this year for the worst completion percentage of all time.
I know, but they're the same player. Jalen and Anthony Richardson are like very similar.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Besides
speaking of Richardson, this is horribly off topic. Did you read that story this week about him? He said he was talking to the media. He said he had to crawl around his house this week on his hands because he couldn't walk because his back pain was so severe.
No, I did not read that.
So that's what awaits you in the NFL, Jalen Milroe, if that's the route you choose to take. Maybe consider a position change. I think you would be effective at probably a running back spot.
No, I don't think he'll be a very effective running back. I don't.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. He doesn't have the vision.
And always is breaking outside.
Can he catch? Maybe. Can he catch? Can he play some tight end? Play some slot? He is too good of an athlete to just be cast into nothing. I do think there is a spot for him if somebody can, but he's a player where you just have to make a role for. It's like, he's not somebody you can just plug into your offense and kind of be like, all right, buddy, go do it. You're going to have to scheme things around what Jalen Milroe is good at, which is, straight line speed. He can get short yardage if you need him to. He's going to run some people over. Yeah, I think, like I was saying, I think his best case scenario in the NFL is looking at like Taysom Hill, which would be awesome.
What offended me the most on Tuesday, I mean, yeah, the feet, but at the end of the game, he was back to like, it was disgusting. The mechanics that he had learned through the year or had learned even through last year, out the window. He was shot putting those balls. It was hand shot put out, throwing darts. Like the screen pass that he threw to Jam, one of the late ones that like, Jam had to reach forward for and ended up getting a first down. I think it put him in the range that they ended up going 3 and out in. He's like, it is all like, it is disgusting.
There's no
mechanic.
Bit of like there's no finesse to it. It's just like ball needs to go forward.
That's what I mean. Look, the last pass, 4th and 10, of course. It's 4th and 10. It's desperation. But same thing. It falls short because it was all his hand. It was literally his entire hand through the ball. Nothing in his nothing in his hips, nothing in his no movement, no shoulder pointing. It was all,
You know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to go to the combine. He's going to run a really fast 40. He's going to make a beautiful one of those rolling out to his side, jump it, and throw the ball 40, 50 yards downfield, deep balls. And everybody's going to lose their mind. And he's going to wind up probably a second-round pick.
To the Raiders?
Something like that. They'll draft him and Shador. They'll draft Shador in the first, and then Jalen Milroe as insurance in the second.
The Colts just need to end up with Milroe as Richardson 2.0.
They need a Milroe Richardson dual quarterback backroom.
Get read optioning for each other.
That would be awesome. Nobody's ever done it.
Oh gosh. So no, I don't think Jalen Milroe is on this roster. I think the chances of that are
very, very slim.
Less than 1%. Mm-hmm. Not zero, but less than 1%.
I mean, there would be a lot of college football teams that would come calling for his services, I would imagine. Would we see Jalen Milroe pull a Jalen Hurts? Not transfer to specifically Oklahoma, just somewhere. Honestly, though,
I don't think he would transfer anywhere really, but I think if he did transfer, I don't think he'd be nearly as in demand as Jalen Hurts was. Yeah. Jalen had those couple of good years and then sat the bench. And then that SEC championship showcase where it was like, oh, I can pass. Yeah. Watch this bit. Because look, that whole year was well, he's sitting the bench because he can't read the defense and he can't pass. And they throw him in there and it was like dotting them up, saving Alabama. And then obviously had the run to really win the game.
It would certainly be different.
I don't think he'd be nearly as in demand. I think it'd be
oh no, it's gonna be mean.
Not mean, but you think what I think would be a good fit? Florida State with Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, probably. He'd probably win them some games.
You'd see Jalen Milroe on your schedule week 1, Alabama.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be crazy. Oh yeah, Alabama, they would love it. They'd be like, yeah, we're gonna finally show him that he wasn't that good. And it's like, guys, why would it be that way?
Oh man, I think Jalen Milroe is probably just going to take his try at the NFL.
Yeah,
because I do think he
Birmingham Stallions quarterback.
Oh, did you see that going on Twitter? That edit of him in the Stallions uniform.
That's around? Not that insane, really.
No, he'd be a stud in the UFL. He'd be tearing it up.
Yeah, that's not that wild.
Yeah, no, I certainly think he probably can get his way or find his way into the NFL draft, get drafted this year probably by some team who sees him at the combine perform very well because that's what he does. He looks really awesome on paper. He's big, strong, fast. He has a cannon arm, not super accurate, but that doesn't show up on paper as much. So some team will fall in love with him and say, I can fix him, and they'll lose their job over it probably.
Those are the magic 4 words. I can fix him. And no, you cannot. I'm sorry.
You never can.
He is what he is. Good college quarterback.
People try to retroactively be like, well, they fixed Lamar Jackson. It's like, no, dude. Anybody with half a brain saw it with Lamar. You just had to rein it in a little bit.
Yeah.
The same with Josh Allen. Same kind of deal. You saw it. You just had to rein it in a bit. You don't see it with Jalen Milroe. I hate it, but you don't see it.
So, long off season for Alabama. Let's finish the show up by talking about the college football playoffs that were. Before we do, we need to tell you we're live in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios right here off of McFarland Boulevard, just past the Tiger Rock on the left here in Northport. You can call Derek and his team yes, they are live upstairs at 205-758-3391. Red Reese from Victoria will be happy to talk to you about all your insurance, home, life, auto insurance, renter's insurance. You need a boat insurance, getting ready for the summer. It's going to be coming up before you know it. Call them at 205-758-3391 for all of your insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel and State Farm is there. Call and see how much Derek can save you today. All right, Mason Woods. We're live at the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios. You follow Mason Woods at MAWoods_.
Forks up.
Yeah, but they lost.
Oh, my God. I was so ready for my victory lap. You don't even know. Oh, I was preparing.
Texas, you stink.
I was getting ready to do everything in my power to somehow acquire an Arizona State shirt to wear on the show today. I was going to figure it out. I was so close. They were so close. Texas, you do suck. I knew you sucked. I told you
Ohio
sucked.
State's going to run them.
Texas is so soft, man. Oh, man, oh, man. Ohio State is going to beat the brakes off of you.
Arizona State, like, I'm sitting there watching some
That's
of
a
it
tough
and
football
listening to the rest of it. And Texas gets up on them. And Arizona State, like, didn't they get a safety in that game?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. So that's what really kind of got them kicked off. And I thought to myself, Dillingham and his crew are just going to make this as ugly as possible.
Exactly
And they're
what
going
they
to
did.
be in this at the end. And that's exactly like,
It
they
was
just like,
awesome.
oh, we're just going to drag you into a phone booth and,
I thought they could do it.
scataboo, puke and rally.
That was sweet. Yeah. Scatterboo gained my respect. I thought he was a bit of a bad defense merchant heading into this game, but no, I don't think Texas is a super great defense, but it's the best he played all year, and he had his way with that defense.
Oh, it took him a while too. The first half was tough.
He's one of those backs. I think he's that bruiser type where you just got to wear him down, keep giving him the ball, and he did wear him down. You could tell from the early part in the game, Texas didn't want to tackle him. They were, but they didn't want to, and eventually it got to the point where they didn't want to, and they said, "I'm not going to try anymore." And he went on a tear. He almost did it. He almost willed them to win that game. Kenny Dillingham, a heck of a coach.
30-something years old, young guy.
34.
Gonna probably be at Arizona State forever.
Man, oh man.
Penn State beats the brakes off of Boise State.
Yeah, we
Aston
expected
Genty,
that.
sorry, buddy.
That might have been Drew Aller's sign that he needs to go to the NFL. That was a heck of a game from him. Had some nice throws.
He's going to get a chance in the next round to against Georgia or Notre Dame to show it again for sure. I don't really care what you did against Boise State, to be honest with you. I've thought you're a mediocre quarterback and you need more time. You got Penn State winning big, Texas winning close, and Ohio State running away with. How unfair is it to Oregon? Unfair. Yeah, Oregon, number 1 seed, first game of the playoff, Ohio State.
Tough. Hate it for you, buddy.
You saw Brett McMurphy tweeting late last week about them talking about revising the seeding for next year already.
That doesn't surprise me in
good.
the slightest.
You have to. This is not fair what you did to Oregon. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an Oregon Duck show, but it wasn't fair.
Man, Jeremiah Smith, though, just electric. Is he better than Ryan Williams?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I saw a lot of people talking about it on Twitter, trying to go back and forth on and it was like, guys, I love Ryan Williams, but he's not 6'3", 225 or whatever Jeremiah Smith is.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah. Those guys that will be a fun, they will be right up there neck and neck with each other when the time comes for those two. But unfortunately, I think
Jeremiah Smith's going to go in number 1. Ryan Williams is coming back to school, so he can go number 1 the next year.
Oh, you're right. That'll be good. At that point, the NIL money will be enough. They can give him like 4, 5, 6 mil.
Senior
probably.
Ryan Williams? What? That'd be nuts. Good playoff, good round. I guess not really, because some of the games were not. Two of the 3 games have not been good.
Arizona State, Texas made up for it, though. That game was awesome.
Do you think Georgia Notre Dame is good this afternoon? I do.
I think it's good for a little bit. I think Georgia ends up winning pretty handily.
What about the people that had to go back to work today? They were in New Orleans. They had to get back to work. No, they had tickets. Can't go.
Man, that's brutal for them. I hate that.
Terrible situation.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know. It's really sad. I hated having to see it so much, across the timeline, especially now with just the way that like Twitter is, you just see things without wanting to because of the auto scroll. So I had to, unfortunately, see some things I didn't really want to, but that was fun. Yeah, just, again, thoughts and prayers to everybody involved, anyone.
There was a University of Alabama student in that.
I saw that this morning.
Terrible.
It's extremely sad.
Really awful.
Hopefully.
You ever been to Bourbon Street?
Oh, yeah. I love New Orleans.
That's the thing that doesn't make sense, and I don't really want to get into like the minutia of what happened, but and I guess some people have told me that these barriers, because the steel barriers,
they were not up in certain spots.
Where it wasn't up, but the furtherance of that, somebody told me that they haven't been working for a handful of days or so. Because every time I've been on Bourbon, it's that crystal that's right there.
Yeah,
if it's still there,
yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been there, but there was a crystal right there. I guess it was like a redfish grill or something right there at the start. But it's like you cannot turn down. It's like basically pedestrian only.
Yeah.
Well, that's what made it seem so unusual to me. But
it seems, yeah, because again, I don't want to have to, but like I did on Twitter, you see the video, and like he just drives like, yeah, it's so yeah. I don't know if the barriers weren't working or if it was just oversight on, we figure, oh, we park a cop car here, that's enough. Obviously, it was not. So hopefully in the future that is addressed and that never happens again, because it seems like it was a preventable tragedy.
Terrible.
Maybe
situation.
let's just make the whole like French Quarter pedestrian only. I don't really see the purpose in driving down there anyway.
Yeah, no, delivery vehicles only.
Yeah, there we go.
Terrible.
There's not really any need for very, very sad.
We hope Georgia Notre Dame does have a good game, and
I think it will be good for the first half.
Yeah, I hope that for those that need it, it serves as a proper distraction for those folks. Mason Woods, we gotta shut it down for the day. We're approaching our hour here. Tomorrow, we want to start with SEC basketball a little bit. You're starting Alabama, Oklahoma on Saturday, and I guess we'll keep going. More fallout from the football team. I think there's still a lot to talk about from what this offensive line is going to look like. Who's going to be playing wide receiver? Will it just be the Jam and Richard Young show, or does AK Deer have any shot at getting some carries? You got a long off season to get into all this stuff. You got anything else for the people today?
Really quick, I saw this discourse this week on the ticket prices, the get-in prices for these playoff games, and some of them were a lot lower than you maybe would have thought. And do you think there's any credence to the just it being kind of a ridiculous ask for the college football playoff to request fans to travel basically all across the country following their favorite team over the course of 2 or 3 weeks now to play this playoff?
Certainly.
Yeah, like it seems like, I think that is something that
you got to pick and choose your games.
Yeah.
I saw a Penn State girl was like, oh, I was at the home game and I was at I guess they were in Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah.
I was there, but I won't be able to go to Miami yet.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's insane. I don't know. Just it seems like potentially, I don't know if there's going to be some movement around there. I mean, it's going to be hard to get the bowl games out of it, but I don't know if maybe the home game thing, maybe that gets changed around in the future. Who knows?
I hope that at least the second round finds its way onto campus, because these teams that had the first round bye, I think they deserve the experience of having a game on their home campus. I'm in the camp. The ticket prices in this last round, they were all affordable. All 4 games were affordable, and if you know me, then I'm a cheap son of a gun.
Oh yeah.
But
I do love that.
They were all and that's what people. Oh, it's not good. You're gonna be empty seats. The people that want to go can figure it out. I'm not a Georgia fan, but I texted a cousin. I said, "You want to drive down to New Orleans, watch that game? It's $30 to get in." And he was, "Oh no, I can't do it." I was, "All right, no problem." But
good thing you didn't, honestly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think that it's a fine thing for in the next round. Yes, the travel's hard, but the travel's hard.
I think that's just the thing that there's not really a fix for it. I think it's just tough because there is a swath of very, very dedicated fans who will make it to just about every game, and that's putting a whole lot on those people to not only very likely miss a lot of work during this part of the year, but also just travel all the way across the country from there and back to watch some football games. Feels like maybe we could potentially place the games a little more regionally focused. Who knows?
All right, we'll get out of here for the day. You can follow Mason Woods at @MAWoods_. You can follow me at Joe Gaither 6. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on Amazon, The Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, and of course, right there on the Bama Central YouTube channel. We'll be back to talk to you tomorrow, more focused on Alabama basketball as the Crimson Tide opens SEC play.